Yeah, I'm throwing you a bone, P4GY. I don't know. All the shit going on last night on Discord was funny, so hey, why not? He talks too slow, but yeah, like I can speed him up, and hopefully this person's also a slow talker. Trans people often are. If you categorize everyone who disagrees with you as a bigot, it's impossible to change your mind. There's nowhere left for them to go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, again, like I said, when I had a conversation with someone at like New Year's, they're saying stuff that many people would call like transphobic. But to me, it's more like if you kind of talk to them a bit, they might not actually be being like transphobic. They might be ignorant in some ways. They might just not know something. And it's worth like making an effort with people instead of just shutting them out straight away. But that doesn't seem to be the way most of us want to do it. And it's never going to work the way we do it, you know? Who's this bloke? So this is not my partner's brother-in-law. This is actually Mr. Girl, who just looks like my partner's brother-in-law. And then this person is, I think they're called Lumi. I don't know, I'm not familiar with his channel. They have 82.2 thousand subscribers. And I guess that's this person here. So Mr. Girl and them are going to be talking about trans stuff. And like Mr. Girl's perspective is just interesting. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Who do I agree with? I'll start 125 and see how we go.
Okay, what's up?
Nothing. You wanted to speak to me about something? You said you're not mad at me.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you.
Okay.
I've just heard some. I just want to ask you some questions.
Okay, you're trans.
Yeah.
You're trans.
Okay, my chat is like they were like fighting with each other over whether it matters if you're trans. I would say if we're talking about, well, if we're talking about trans stuff, I would say that it matters quite a bit if you're trans. Yeah.
Yeah, only because maybe it would give me more validation given the experience that I've gone through, in a sense.
You mean validation, like you have better
credibility, I guess.
Credibility, yeah, sure.
The third parties.
Well, yeah, she has the experience, I guess.
No.
Listen, I can't shit on them too much. I haven't really done like debates myself, and like, you know, people are going to be nervous, especially talking to someone like Mr. Girl. He's kind of intimidating, I guess, in a way, because you really don't know what he's going to come out with.
Yeah.
I've never actually said that online because I used to label myself more, but I feel like the more you label yourself, the more you divide yourself, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say it just.
The white face might be due to a ring light. I'm not sure. I don't use one myself. I have like lights all up here, so.
To talk about it, but I don't like applying it too hard to my identity. I don't like something like gender defining who I am as a person, you know?
Yeah, it does. But I feel like it is worth, I mean, it is part of why we're talking, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
True. What do you mean by that? It's part of, whether I'm trans or not is part of why I'm talking?
This is such an awkward conversation. What the hell?
I think it's part of why you asked me to talk about this. I think it's part of why, yeah, like, I don't think, like, cis people are generally, I'll say this, no cis person has messaged me to ask me to talk about gender with them.
So you usually ask people to talk?
Yeah. Well, I've talked about it with Rose Wrist and Destiny, and I begged both of them to talk to me, not the other way around.
So I'm interested in, why do you talk about it then? What's your problem with it that makes you so passionate about talking about it?
Well, so yeah, I have that series, and it sounds like you haven't watched much of it, because a lot of the series is me talking about what my problem is, but I'll summarize.
So I don't...
I mean, I don't know, it was only ever going to go one way. Like, he wasn't that popular in, like, Destiny's community, it didn't seem like. Like, he got a lot of shit in the comments, but then, I don't know, maybe the comments have, like, come around a bit for people who've watched it since. Like, I found him a bit difficult to listen to, and I think I wasn't quite far enough out of my, my sort of pro-trans phase, or whatever we're calling it. So I don't know, I kind of didn't really watch too much of him, and just didn't, I tried not to form too much of a strong opinion on him, I guess. But hey, it means that I didn't really see any of this content before, so it's new to me, you know?
I didn't want to come here with like a script because I feel like that wouldn't be as natural.
Sure.
And in addition to that, there's probably a lot of people who are watching who don't know your
I'm not saying, hey, okay. I'm not saying you should have watched it. I'm just saying you didn't.
I'm just explaining why I didn't do it.
Well, and you didn't watch it because it will take a long time.
I watched some of it. Yeah,
nice.
Well...
It's long. It's like hours and hours. So I have a few problems. One is, I just don't agree with the general progressive narrative.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's probably still true. I mean, it's mostly a left community, and left-wingers tend to be pro that, so...
About gender. So my first problem is I think it's not true. And I don't like when people say things that aren't true. 2, I don't like that the the progressive kind of trans narrative is spreads through fear. I don't like it when people say things that aren't true because they're afraid. So the mob mentality around pressuring people to agree scares me. 3,
They made a face then. I'm assuming he's talking about like trans communities and stuff, or just like the pressure in general to be trans affirming in like society, especially like the US.
because they're afraid. So the mob mentality around
Like, because they're afraid of getting cancelled or whatever.
pressuring people to agree scares me. 3, I don't think the way this is going is great for trans people.
Oh my god, that's fucking based as shit. I hope they expand on that one more.
Really anybody. But probably especially trans people.
Like, he's right. Like, things kind of suck now. And like, either you're going insane, like thinking the world is trying to genocide you, or the only people you can connect with that are like you and that you relate to in the gender fucking sense are all those people that are going insane. Transition or suicide, not native. Trans affirming or be cancelled. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
4, I think it undermines, I think it's causing a bigger political schism in the country. So things are really polarized. But when I think of like what conservatives are like most opposed to, or the thing where they're like, basically the Democrats have lost their mind. I think gender is like the number one thing. Like they picture like a blue-haired trans girl, and they're like, I can't do this. And that concerns me because I don't want, and I'm not saying we should just agree with conservatives so that we can all be unified, but that combined with me also just disagreeing myself is like, well, maybe there's a more like uniting or flexible way to talk about this that doesn't alienate half the country. And then 5, like, I assume you're a liberal.
I'm a centrist.
Okay. But
oh, wow, that's rare. Unless they're talking shit. Maybe they don't want to say they're a anarcho-communist, but hey, I don't know.
Okay. But I assume you're like pro Joe Biden and not pro Trump. Is that true?
Yeah. If those are the choices, like.
I mean, if he asked me the same question, I'd say that. But then I don't know. The January 6th shit is something I can't get behind. I don't know. Reading the indictments and like looking at some of the shit, I don't know. But that's got nothing to do with trans people.
I guess.
There were the choices.
Yeah.
Okay. I assume you believe in global warming, climate change.
Sure.
Okay.
Are we going at that trans people seem to have very narrow views and stuff? Because, I mean, very true if so.
Okay. And also, I assume that you're like not an anti-vaxxer. Well, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Are you an anti-vaxxer?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Hammer and sickle hiding behind that ninja star. Hey, who knows? Maybe.
Okay. So I feel like on those issues, which feel like pretty important to me, if Democrats or progressives or whoever are leading the charge and saying we're the party of science, for them to...
Yeah, this completely doesn't make sense. It was all follow the science. And then these same people saying follow the science are telling you that they're non-binary and so they're not a woman. And if you call them a woman, you're oppressive. Like, what science is that following exactly?
Also take the position they do with gender, which I don't think is a scientifically fueled position. Whether you agree with the claims that it is scientifically based, I think it's pretty inarguable that the way it is presented and the way it is pushed is not scientifically based. And
yeah, I agree with him there.
So that, I feel like it's undermining other efforts in convincing skeptics to listen to liberals. Those are my 5 problems that I just came up with.
Okay, so let me try to repeat some of that back to you to make sure I understand. So you think it's not true, and you think people are pushing it in a way that is unscientific, and because they're doing that, it's undermining the rest of the liberal movement.
Well, it's undermining the credibility for sure, especially if you're going to be like, trust the science around vaccines, and then trust, I don't know, when it comes to trans people, you know.
Not the entire rest of it, just some parts.
Trust what the trans person themselves is saying, there you go.
Or
that
like,
the scientifically based parts that I care about. Yeah.
okay. And okay, is that about it?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's good for trans people.
Oh, and you don't think it's good for people. So
I suppose we're leaning. Yeah. Go ahead.
So when you say it's not true,
Yeah.
in order to say something is not true, you have to have like a greater idea of what is true. So I'm wondering what do you think is true, and how do you determine truth? Yeah, because since you say gender's not true.
I think gender is a made up social construct that we use to group and categorize the way that we react to each other's bodies and the way that we are treated based on our bodies. And that varies from region to region, time to time, and culture to culture. But it's talked about as though it's like an actually like innate thing that exists in our brains. And I think that's not true.
Okay, so you don't think it's true because society constructed it? Is that why?
I think it's true in the sense that like a religion is true. Like, so if you say like these are the beliefs of like Jews and this is how Jews view the world, and if you want to live in a Jewish way, this is what you would do. Like, it's real in that sense. But then if you say like, and God is literally real.
It's a slippery slope. Someone could easily say trust that trans women are women. Yeah, exactly. And it's, I don't know. We want to make things more and more obscure and weird and nebulous to where even trans women feel too specific. And even like gendering people that way is too much, and I don't know, it's just silly.
Then I'm like, and the events depicted in the Bible are true. Then I'm like, well, that's not true. It's not scientifically true. It's like a way of thinking.
So I swear, like, I don't know many people that were making like the religion comparisons and stuff before Mr. Girl. That's kind of interesting.
I think what is true is that. So what do you think? So if you think that's not true, what do you think about the socially constructed roles of masculine and feminine, masculinity and femininity that we have right now already?
Like, they're
socially constructed as well.
Yeah,
right?
they're exactly. They're real, but they're not scientifically like
scientific. What am I saying? Social constructs are real. Like, wow, I don't know.
Base like me acting like a man is not like, it's not part of my biology. So my problem with it is that, like, so at first it was like,
hey, by the way, it's been a while. If you like the stream, have you joined my Discord? You can if you want to. There's links underneath, I think, hopefully. Anyway.
Okay, some men are feminine. And then it was like, okay, some men are cross-dressers. And then it was like, some men want to live as women. And then it was, some men are trans women, but we're going to call them women. And now it's become men, so some men just are women. They weren't men. They're actually...
Yeah, the language evolving. I fully agree with this. Lots of male behaviors are learned, not innate. Yeah, maybe, yeah.
They're just women. Literally, biologically, socially, scientifically, in every conceivable way, a trans woman is a woman.
Which, hey, if we're basing, like, someone's gender off of, like, male and female behaviors, then yeah, most people are a mixture, I guess. If they're learned, they can be unlearned or changed. Well, maybe. It depends on the person, I think. Not everyone is as good at learning, and some people, I think, stop learning or lose the ability to learn before they probably should.
The word trans woman no longer should even exist anymore, because all being trans means now to the far left is I was...
Yeah, he's right. Like, if we stop at trans woman, like, I'm never going to go around saying that I'm, like, actually a female. Like, I'm happy with that. Why do we have to, like, push it into the realm of, like, delusion? I don't think it's delusional calling myself a trans woman because I'm not an actual woman. Like, I think saying I'm a woman, I'm as much of a woman as, well, neither of them on screen, I don't know, J.K. Rowling. That's just delusion. Like, there's a difference, and the way it's evolved, but, like, no one wanted to speak up against it, which included me, to be fair. I don't know. I wasn't really in the place to be doing that. I was definitely, by 2022, I was definitely coming out of that whole mindset, but yeah, just people weren't fighting against it because, I don't know. It sucks. I guess you had the trans medicalists or whatever, but they were, like, discredited, like, a long fucking time ago, so.
We were all wrong. I was in the wrong, like, shell, and I have shed that, and now we see my true form has been revealed, and actually I'm a woman.
Okay, so
you see like a progression there.
The last part there.
I'm still waiting for someone to show me where and when Trump wants trans people and minorities to be genocided. I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to give you an answer for that because I don't think I ever criticized Trump based on trans people myself. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there even is really that much evidence or any that he's doing that.
I agree with you. I don't think it's necessary, and I also agree. I don't think it's true to say that a trans woman is like literally exactly biologically the same. I think.
But lots of people say that.
Don't think that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if they're not the same, then just have two different terms for them. Why did it need to get any more complicated than that? Well, I mean, I know why, because we've decided that the model we're doing is like affirming people's like cope and like just helping them cope about the fact that they're a man, not a woman, or the other way around. I don't know. I'm not for any of that shit, so I don't know. I kind of agree with Mr. Girl for the most part. This person, like, I don't know, but they need to bring more, but they're not being like soy too much at the moment. But then, hey, usually when I say that, they start soying out. So.
Well, no, I don't think most trans people think that, but I think most trans rights activists or advocates or like the most fervent people in the movement do think that. Well, I don't know if they think that, but they say that.
Yeah, I mean, if you said that today, that's like undeniable. Like, how many years have we been hearing trans women are women at this point?
And it is increasingly offensive to say things like trans women are not literally biologically women. Now, I understand, like, in your personal life, it's not offensive at all. Like, you could say that to everyone you know, and they'd be like, well, of course not. But if you're at like a dinner party and you say that, then people will be like, well, I'm not going to respond to that. And if you say that at work, then someone's going to pull you aside and say, hey, don't say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and if you say it online,
I agree with,
you get death threats.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I don't agree with that last part. So I don't think that trans women are exactly biologically the same. I don't think it's necessary to say that to the movement.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense because there's also the paradox that if you push that movement, then you're undermining the struggle that trans people have to go through in their daily life. Because if they're exactly the same, then
you're erasing the definition of what a trans person is.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary to go that far. I mean, I think people should accept that.
Yeah, okay, we agree so far. They said they're a centrist. There's every chance. I don't know how smart they sound to me, but not everyone does straight away, so.
They're trans women, and that's what they are. I don't think most people are so delusional that they think that by saying that their actual biology is going to change.
Oh no, literally, people nowadays, it's like, I'm a woman, and my male body is like my condition that I have, as if I have like some kind of health condition. Like, is it that level? It's insane.
There are a lot of people are that delusional. Because if you want to find scientific studies that tell you that sex is a spectrum, there's ways you can look at sex, at biological sex, so that it is not black and white. And they do. Okay, if you say this, if you say the stuff you're saying on like a trans subreddit or
Oh, I wanted them to get into a thing about whether sex is binary or not.
something, you'd be banned like immediately.
Me?
Yes.
I've never tried to say that, but
I implore you.
On that point.
Go to the subreddits for feminism, 2X chromosome.
Honestly, this is how I often felt talking to like some of my trans friends, like the ones that I didn't really fall out with, but I just kind of whatever. Like, you can say a bunch of stuff and lay it out, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I guess that's kind of right, and that's true, or whatever." But it's like they don't do anything with it and just keep on like enabling people. And at a certain point, it's like, well, what am I supposed to fucking say to you then? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, any of the trans subreddits, LGBT, and say, I don't think, like, there's the only sub that I know of where you can talk about the stuff that we're talking about now would be honest transgender.
Okay. So I like that you're pushing back on that part because I agree with you.
So yeah, the way I see it is that
they're at least somewhat aware how insane like communities are in terms of like single-mindedness.
The desire to be seen as, or to feel like, or to live as the opposite sex is causing trans activists and some trans people and some non-trans people, obviously, to keep pushing the definition further and further for more and more acceptance. And every time every time the boundaries move, where it's like, okay, but here's where it stops. Like at this point, like these are women, and like you're not a woman here. Then they're like, no, we're gonna go past that one too. And it just feels like. So I said in my video, like I feel like liberals have not found a way to say no to anyone, really.
Yeah, it kind of seems like that, unfortunately.
And and conservatives have not found a way to say no that is kind, or like empathetic.
I see your point,
Okay.
Yeah, like when he's more chill, he's a lot more likable. Like when I saw him on panels, he was often very like abrasive and like rude and stuff. And there'd be times where he'd be like way too autistically like defending a point. It's a bit like watching someone like tomfoolery or like Stardust occasionally. But like when he's chilled out a bit, like he's very intelligent.
Just want to ask, because I agree with you. I don't think you should push the idea that they're exactly the same biologically. That's going a bit too radical, and I don't think it's.
I mean, you saw my own chat. My own chat was doing it just now.
I don't.
They're saying someone asked if you were trans, and then someone else was like, "What does it matter? It has no bearing on the conversation." Like as if it's exactly the same. And like as if having this conversation with you, like if you're a trans woman or a woman, it's the exact same thing because trans women are women.
So if we isolate the trans issue, do you think what do you think about the people who recognize there's a difference between sex and gender, and they transition knowing that difference and they accept that difference truthfully to themselves?
What do you mean?
Because I feel like most trans people that I know feel that way.
I don't think that's true. I mean, maybe the ones you know, most of the ones I know are like crazy for this like woke shit. I know like one normal one. I don't know if generalizing all liberals and all conservatives is good in conversation. I still see what you're saying. Yeah, I think sometimes it's okay. Because it comes across that way. I agree with him. I don't know. I guess it depends if you're right or not. Ultimately,
they accept themselves.
Yeah, most people in real life, for sure. Most people in real life are more sane than and less extreme than like people online of any group.
Yeah. So you're okay with those people?
What do you mean? I'm okay with them. I'm okay with anybody.
Like, do you okay, yeah, but do you disagree with the fact that that's their truth and that's their?
Do you think there's like an obsession with trans people and having to get other people to accept their truth or agree with their truth? Because I think that's definitely something worth letting go of, if so.
That's not delusional? Or you still think that's delusional?
Tell me what, well, I want to avoid you asking me if I think you're delusional.
Yeah, we're making it like personal. This is not the best way to do it.
So
Why?
tell me,
so many trans people do that. It's like the conversation becomes like about you. I mean, I guess it happens like on my Discord and stuff, but I pretty much am happy to talk about anything. But in a debate like this, it is a bit strange.
Because
so controlling over everything. Yeah, most of these people, I'm not saying about this person particularly, but a lot of the like rights advocate types, they do want to control conversations. And like, you know, I'll have someone come in and like argue with me. It doesn't matter what questions I ask. They're not actually going to fucking answer any of them because they're just here to like monologue at me. Like so many people seem to think that other people, they've got nothing to teach them, but these people have stuff to teach those other people, if that makes sense. Like they just want to be the educator. They don't want to listen to anyone else. It's all about them talking to you. And whatever you say, they're just going to monologue at you more.
I don't want to hurt anyone.
Why do you think that would hurt me?
I'm not as much worried about you.
Okay.
I think
I want to ask you because I want to. So
I understand. I'm
happy. What you think?
I get the temptation to like use yourself as the example, but it just really seems like it's better not to.
Talking to Richard Spencer on Friday.
I don't know who that is.
Richard Spencer is like the biggest neo-Nazi in the country, or one of them. Well, most well known.
So you're saying you don't want people like hating you?
No. I'm saying I'm gonna have this problem with him, where I'm gonna have to ask him about Jews, and how
he's Jewish. Yeah.
feels about them. He's gonna be looking at me, and then I'll have to be like, well, yeah, like you're obviously thinking of me when I say this. So I don't really know how to get around that. I'm not trying to say I'm the Richard Spencer of trans people, but I want to have this conversation the most ethical way possible, and I'm a little worried about you saying like, here's my view of myself. Would you like to tear it apart? And I don't want to. So,
well, I think it's related because, I mean, one of your points of the problems you had was that you said you think it's against truth. So I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, let's. I want to. Yeah, I'll tell you what my truth is. I think my problem is the word delusional implies like that I would think that trans people are more delusional than other people, but I think cis people are also delusional. Like if you were a cis woman saying like, I'm in the right body, this is the real me, I'm supposed to be this way, my gender and my sex are aligned, and that's why I'm comfortable with myself, I also think that's delusional. So it's more like...
Yeah, that was the Peter Tatchell argument from when I watched the Frida Wallace drunk incident. Like, I'm a male, I wear male clothes because my physical sex and my gender ideology, my gender identity match up. It's like, it's a bit preposterous. I mean, you're just kind of a guy. And like, yeah, you were saying earlier, like a lot of stuff's learned. Like, don't guys just kind of dress like because of what they're given initially, what their friends wear, what like other people in their life wear, and it just kind of goes from there. Like, what's it got to do with gender identity, really?
Like, I think people who think gender is like an innate part of their being are delusional, and that happens to also describe a lot of trans people. But it's not like because I have traditional gender roles in mind and I think we should stick to them, and if you don't, you're delusional. It's more like I think gender overall as an idea is like, I'm a gender abolitionist.
Okay, I like that because I agree. No, I think the same as you.
Okay, we separate here because I'm not a gender abolitionist. I don't really see the point.
Because you think it's because they're clinging to beliefs that are made up and put into them by society and
yeah, like a religion. And like that's fine if you want to, if you like it, if you like looking at the world that way, then like that's fine. I don't want to be told that I have to agree with it, because I don't. And I don't want to be told that it's literally true, because I don't think it is.
So, okay. I mean, I agree with you on that point. Nice. I'm just wondering.
Okay, so you're saying somebody who agrees with that, but who still wants to transition. What do I think of that person?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of that? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, no. I've talked to trans people who agree with everything I just said.
Yeah, they're actually out there, believe it or not.
I interviewed a trans man who said that he transitioned because he didn't want to deal with the...
It's pretty queer in that way.
...trauma of living in a female body anymore. And he was like, it wasn't worth it to me. I'm happier as a man. I know I'm not really a man. I know I'm being avoidant, but I don't want to face it, and I never do. I just had to.
I guess that's not that far away from me, really. It's like, maybe this is all bullshit, and I'm just a man who got his dick inverted and shit, and I wear makeup and stuff. But like, I don't know, I'm okay with it. I go around a certain way, and people can take from it whatever they want, I guess.
Escape.
Do you think it always has to be an escape? You think
I don't want to make a sweeping statement like that, but that's my theory of what it usually is.
It's going to be like an escape for at least some people. I mean, maybe it was for me, like I said, like the whole gender roles thing, mental health in general, like being depressed and like lonely and stuff. It's very possible that it was an escape for me too, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So
some kind of.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So
but like,
would you also hold that belief?
Sorry, go ahead.
So if I look at it like we have to continue participating in the society that we're living in as long as we're here, right? So there has to be some way that you express yourself. So
yes, but you like okay. I think being trans is an additive process.
Oh, okay. So you're a gender abolitionist. So I wanna bring up this point.
Okay.
Do you think that the trans movement is going in the right direction towards abolishing gender, or do you think it's going in the wrong direction?
I think it's going in. It could lead to being in the right direction, but right now I feel like it's going in the wrong direction.
Okay, because I feel like
it kind of feels like the trans movement is more likely to bring about like the TERF version of like gender abolition than it is like the queer version, if you know what I mean.
Like, if we desensitize the concept of gender, people are going to be more comfortable not clinging to the binary male-female gender roles. So it's kind of like
just the idea that like men can wear dresses if they feel like it. I think that is a good part of the transgender movement. The only things I really don't like about it are surgery, hormones, and telling other people how to talk and what they should believe. I think those are like the things I don't like. Everything else I like. Like I'm all for people being non-binary or breaking gender norms.
Why are you against hormones?
It scares me. Is one.
What about it?
I'm against makeup. It's like makeup for your cells.
You think it's okay? Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to explain that one better. Jesus.
So, okay. I want to ask you something. Okay. So if you're against hormones, why wouldn't you be equally against certain diets and exercising a certain amount? Because all of that changes your body physiology.
I'm against steroids. Well. I'm against men taking steroids. That would be the equivalent thing to me.
I'm just wondering why you don't
because I think it's damaging to your body to take hormones.
Okay, imagine somebody who's like obsessed with exercising and they exercise like 7 hours or more.
Yeah, I think that gets into self-harm as well.
You think?
Look,
so?
when I say I'm
You think
against
that's
it,
equivalent-
when I say I'm against it,
equivalent to taking hormones, like something like that.
there's
you
could certainly,
like
I mean, you can kill yourself exercising too much. So yeah, there's definitely a point at which it becomes more damaging to you to look. I'm not saying I'm morally against it.
Yeah,
I'm saying I think
it's
it's self-harm.
One of the things you didn't like it about it are like essential. What kind of things? Sorry.
The way I think makeup is self-harm. The way I think getting Botox and lip fillers is self-harm. The way I think lots of things.
What part of that is harmful?
It'd hopefully be obvious why surgeries and taking medications that have effects on your body are harmful, potentially.
Taking your endocrine system and making it, like you're taking parts of your body and making them not work as well. Like it is objectively harm. If you don't, I understand that that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
When I say self-harm, I don't mean you're doing something.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd really even argue with him about. Like, it comes down to perspective at a certain point. I don't know if I see things like hormones or especially like makeup or something in a kind of slightly more extreme way like he does. But I don't know, at a certain point it'd just be like, fair enough. I don't know. I don't really care what someone like this would call me anyway, so.
Something to yourself against your own will. I'm just saying.
I know. I don't think you're saying that. I'm just wondering about. So if we talk about this, you want to look at it in terms of outcome, right? In a sense, like what does it do?
No.
You don't think that matters at all?
No.
Yeah, he like sees them as like self-harm, I guess, and stuff, which, you know, it's quite a emotive way of putting it, but I don't know. I mean, it's like if he doesn't agree with you putting something in your body, you can still do it anyway. It's a bit like, I guess it's a bit like trying to tell someone who's obnoxious when they're drunk not to drink, but they want to do it anyway. I guess it's similar to that. But I'm getting quite tired. I'll probably stop soon because maybe it's obvious I don't know.
No.
So can I present?
You can, but I just undermined it.
Okay, that's fine.
But you can ask why.
That's fine.
You can ask why I'm doing it.
I want to ask. Okay, say why, and then I want to ask something.
Why am I okay with saying that if trans people are happier taking hormones and surgeries than they would be if they didn't? Then why don't we just say it's less harmful than the alternative? Because if I'm like, hey, I'm gonna stomp on my foot.
Yeah, like natural. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, hey, some people are, some people aren't. Like, I don't know. People seem really obsessed with like debating him about like the trans stuff. But I think it was maybe because he kind of ganked most of these people. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. I need to watch more of them, obviously.
As hard as I can with my other foot. But if you don't encourage me to do that, I'm going to smash my hand with a hammer. And it's like, well, and then I'm like, do you still think this is self-harm if I step on my foot? It's like, yeah, it's just not as self-harm as the other thing. But like, they're both self-harm. Like maybe there's a solution that doesn't involve either. But and so part of my problem with the kind of like trans or the gender narrative that we have now is that I don't think we're looking for a solution. I think we've bought into the false dichotomy of like, it's either complete despair and like falling off a psychological cliff, or it's hormones and surgery. And and now if you say like
you want to go for the middle ground, is that what you're trying to say? You think there's better?
Yeah, I'm like because like I'm all about self-acceptance, and so like I as a personal trainer,
He's
in
a
LA,
personal trainer.
I went through probably over 100.
Tattoos are fine. They don't really harm you once they're on. As far as I know, they don't. Was it Jeffrey Dahmer that said they make your meat taste like shit if you have tattoos? So maybe they ward off cannibals. I don't know.
Clients, maybe 200, and lots of them want liposuction and other harmful like UV, like they're trying to shine UV lights on their body to lose weight or whatever the fuck they're doing over there. And I'm like, I would have to try to find a line, or like I had a client who used to take laxatives all the time, and so I would be like, I was in a position where I had the ability to, without crossing any lines, encourage them to accept their bodies and say like, I would say to a lot of clients like, you know, it's okay that you hate your body.
I think he's describing stuff that nowadays we're trying to call conversion therapy. I don't know. It's very sinister. You kind of see how people are trying to force affirmative transition as the only viable option because everything else is conversion therapy or some shit. Like, try and help people feel more comfortable with their bodies. Like, that's exactly the kind of thing that they call it. I mean, listen, you watch like anything by any of these fucking shill losers like fucking Jammy Dodger. That's the exact kind of shit they're saying.
Like, I know you're not
like what he's saying. That's what they mean when they talk about conversion therapy.
Supposed to anymore, and it's like not allowed on Instagram where you have to be positive about your body, no matter what your body looks like or how you feel about it. You'll be shamed for being ashamed of your body. But like, we all hate our bodies sometime. And so I think a lot of them found it helpful that
But there was one woman in like the plus size community who got like fucking cancelled for, what was it? She's in her 30s and was like saying that she didn't care about her health when she was younger, and now she's like in her 30s, overweight and having all these health problems. And she got like cancelled to fuck for being like not body positive enough, I guess. It's crazy.
It would like push for this kind of like honest acceptance. But if you say the same thing about trans people, then you're talking about conversion therapy.
What did I say? Thank you.
And it's seen as talking about conversion therapy. Like if
And this is fucking cringe, by the way. When I think of fucking conversion therapy, I think of like the horrible like electrocuting people, like gay people being locked up and shit. I don't think about talking therapy, you know. And it's crazy, like it's crazy how far we're trying to go to make the only option gender affirming care, which your mileage kind of varies. I mean, look at me. I'm one of the more fortunate ones, if you can imagine that, you know?
If I said I had a trans client who, or a client who told me they were going to transition, and then I, whatever, so somehow help them accept their body, I would have actually smothered their new LGBT identity and converted them or brain.
Yeah, and it makes me really side-eye when people say like transphobia is just reheated homophobia, you know? Because it's like we've already had this conversation. Well, yeah, about gay people. We're now talking about people changing their like entire fucking bodies and stuff. Fat positivity activists were all dying. She probably did. I watched an Abba and Preach video about the same thing, and yeah, there's quite a few that were very flagrant and like died at like 42 and shit like that. I wouldn't want to die at 42. That's like 8 years away. I'm not fat, but you know, this is the kind of thing. Like the fat acceptance stuff, like some of it's insane. Like I would never like fat shame someone, but like doing the opposite of it and affirming it seems like suicidal and completely irresponsible.
Brainwash them into thinking they were cis. And I don't know if you heard about my girlfriend.
Like, isn't it like at least half of like adults or something in the US? I don't know if it's half, but like there's a lot of them that are like obese now. Surely the response shouldn't be affirming their obesity and telling them that's okay. Surely it should be healthier. I don't know.
What
She wanted to take testosterone and I talked her out of it.
Do you think you did a good thing talking her out of it?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's a good thing?
Well, you'll never know whether it was a good thing or not. Like, and it probably seems like it's more likely to have negative effects, especially if they follow down the line. You know, end up getting surgeries and shit like that, and then start having second thoughts one day. I feel like the risks of like transitioning usually outweigh the benefits. And no one says that kind of shit anymore. That's the kind of shit that people would tell me like all the time when I was like trying to work out what I was doing with this shit like 10 years ago, you know? But no one will say that anymore. It's just, you know, affirm everyone.
Because I think it was a bad idea.
Could I ask, what if, just a random one.
I would feel very uncomfortable, like, encouraging anyone to transition, I think. It would have to take, I don't know, if I knew someone well enough and, like, their experiences were a certain thing, maybe, but for the most part, I would not, like, encourage anyone because I don't know ultimately whether it's going to be good for them or not. And I know it might well be bad for them.
One of questions, just to see what you say. What?
Nothing. Go ahead. See what I say. See what happens.
Okay.
See what happens later.
So, what if in 10 years, the consequence of you talking somebody out of it ends up being worse than if they went through it? So I'm wondering, if somebody
You're never going to know. So why would you, like, I enforce one side out of the equation completely, calling it, like, conversion therapy? You don't know. You never know who's going to be happier living their lives just in their body and changing. That's why the whole point is we're not supposed to, like, convince as many people as we can to be trans, because it's more likely to be bad for them than good, surely. So why would we pick one side like that?
Positions they feel in this moment now.
Thanks. I'm a pick me. I'm just trying to impress you specifically because you're a Mr. Girlstan, I guess.
That it'll be better for the growth of them as an individual.
Yeah.
And then they're on a better pathway to themselves, to discovering themselves.
Okay,
and then
this is what you already asked me, if the ends justify the means. I'm saying no.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's happened like in the history of the world?
It's not even ends justifying the means, it's the potential ends justifying the means. Like, you're saying that the best it can get for them as a trans person is worth potentially it actually being pretty shit, and they would have been better off just being trans, for example. Aww.
That somebody has like had like a death in their family, and then they're like, I'm gonna do some heroin. And they do the heroin, and it helps them get through a hard time. And if they hadn't done the heroin, maybe they would have killed themselves or lost their job or had a psychotic break. But the heroin actually helped them get through a tough time. And 10 years later, they're better off than they would have been if they hadn't taken it. Like, that's possible. But I don't think that means heroin is good for you. I still consider it like a harmful substance.
Okay.
It's a bit of an extreme example, but I get what he's saying. I mean, I agreed with it already, so.
So, regardless of the actual reality of how they feel.
There's another problem.
I feel like it's just, I mean, it's okay, but I see your point of okay, what's the other problem?
I feel like a therapist is the best possibility of helping someone figure out if they're trans or not. Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously you've got the other side of things being that people just kind of say whatever they think is going to get them the care that they want. Because generally it's about more what the patient wants than what they need. Because they don't know what they need, because it's quite rare that people always know what they need, if that makes sense. Like, it's easy to think you know what you need, and for that not to be correct. Which, hey, I'm open to that potentially being my case. They would if they weren't so ideologically compromised. Yeah. I mean, Jesus. I watch the odd like psychiatrist on this show, and like some of them are like deeply concerning, like bought and paid for, like unquestionably.
I believe that the thing that causes gender dysphoria.
And hey, in America, it's like it must be like a cottage industry, you know. It must be insane, like transing people, especially with the affirmative model that you'll have, because it's you know, their version of the Dutch protocol was extremely like positive towards affirming, whereas the UK version was in the opposite direction, and puberty blockers didn't show having almost any real improvement to like mental health and stuff.
Is society and people in your life mistreating you. And I'm very
maybe for some people.
I think for everybody, almost everybody. And I'm very against conforming to the ideals of people who don't treat you well. And so even if you're happier, so if society tells you you're not supposed to be the way you are, or your family tells you you're not supposed to be the way you are, to the point where you start to hate the way you are, even if changing the way you are will make you happier, that you can live inside their shitty constructs, I'm against it.
Huh. So even if
I don't want people to do that. Yeah, I think it's better for us to challenge whatever is making us hate our bodies and want to transform.
This person de-agender. No, that's me. This person is just a normal trans woman, as far as I know. I don't know anything about this person.
Ourselves. I think it's better to just stand up to it. And
so
fix,
don't you
fix
think
that.
everything? Don't you think everything we're doing is transforming our bodies on a daily basis?
Yes. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Well, you know what I mean.
Show you. I know.
Well,
exactly
you're not showing me shit.
Well, I want to.
So if my family makes me feel bad about being a man, to the point where I can no longer stand seeing a man in the mirror, I think it's better, or like I prefer it. I'm not even saying it's morally better. I would want to just tell them.
It's just floundering. Like it's tough to watch. This goes on for another hour as well. It's like, Jesus. I don't know. Oof, I know. I'll keep watching for a bit. I'm getting tired, but.
To fuck off, and if that means I have to live the rest of my life hating my male body, then I will.
If you could get to a point where you're in love with your body, in harmony with your mind and spirit, you wouldn't choose that?
No, I choose war.
You choose misery?
I choose truth. I choose truth, and choosing truth is often choosing misery.
You don't think that you can do both?
No.
I think you can do both.
I don't even drink coffee because it makes me fake happy.
You eat food.
Yeah, I eat food. Don't tell me. Don't try to fucking tell
What
me.
you eat.
Don't tell me that me injecting estrogen into my body and getting breast implants is the same as me eating food.
Maybe not the surgery part.
Oh, but injecting
I say
estrogen
there's
is the same as eating food. I don't need to do that to live.
Certain foods will affect your endocrine system. Okay.
Yes, I
So it's just
completely
like
agree.
a matter,
But I
it's just a
don't.
matter of how much of this
Absolutely
affecting me is too much.
right. So of course, yeah. It's just a small on a scale. So on one hand, we have like eating some edamame. On the other hand, I have injecting so much estrogen into my body that my balls stop working. And it's just a scale. Everything's on a scale. You know what? This is one where it isn't a spectrum. It's not a spectrum.
You don't think so?
Okay.
You mean Mr. Gal? He's definitely Jewish, that's for sure.
If there is somebody who eats estrogen-producing foods for the purpose of transitioning, I would actually have the same feeling. So it is a spectrum, but that's 99% of the. It's more about the idea behind what you're doing, not like the effect on your endocrine system.
Yeah. So it's the idea behind what you're doing. So if you have,
There's nobody
I like
injects
that part.
estrogen because they're hungry.
well, what's the difference between doing
The
that?
difference between eating and it.
They're both just a different manifestation of being selfish, right?
No.
You don't have to eat food and kill other animals to keep living. You don't have to inject estrogen to keep living.
You have to eat
You don't
food
have to-
to
you
keep.
don't have
You do have to eat food to keep living. I'm going to push back.
Oh,
on
okay,
that.
sorry. Okay, you don't have to eat food.
You do.
Unless
actually.
you want to live, but you don't have to live.
God, I'm so glad I'm like doing everything I can not to be in this position. Like trying to use these like philosophical like loopholes or some shit to try and get some kind of minor concession. Like that's what I feel if I was like debating like pro-trans, that's what I feel like I'd be doing. And that's what it felt like ContraPoints was doing, honestly, in the video, was like kind of carving out small like niche concessions like philosophically, which I don't know. It's a bit fucked, really. Like, unfortunately, we just have nothing. It doesn't make any sense, and we pushed it on the world, and like now it's like, okay, great, now what?
You
I know
don't have
it's
to
a
live.
radical example, but
Okay. Do you see why I think eating food is self-care and
Yeah.
not self-harm? To a point,
Yeah.
eating food, but
you could say the same thing with estrogen. Some guy's gonna kill himself unless he starts injecting estrogen.
Yes, I see them both as self-harm, but estrogen is a lesser self-harm.
Yeah, estrogen's a lesser self harm.
I would say killing yourself is pretty
You mean
much.
food's a lesser self harm?
I think food is self-care unless you're eating so much that you're harming your body. But generally, I think eating is self-care.
I guess it depends on.
Like if I were
How
taking
you-
care of like a baby,
So would you
and
say?
I gave the
wait,
baby, if I gave the baby milk, that would be taking
get what
care
you're
of
saying.
it.
Let
If
me-
I-
Going into the hypotheticals land. We're going into land of a million fucking hypotheticals.
if I injected estrogen into the baby, that would not be taking care of it. So that's
But there's different.
Yeah, that's kind of worrying. I mean, when I had all my, when I was transitioning more than what I am now, because I'm just on things and I've had the things done, like they told me what the risks were. Like, do they not tell everyone this? I guess maybe people don't really listen to the downsides where it's like, these are the potential, unlikely but potential risks of it. They probably just kind of tune that stuff out, maybe. I don't know what I'd even argue against half of this stuff. It's like I don't agree with him on everything, and I guess there'd be like philosophical like differences we could go through, but like I just can't imagine being in this position, this person like sitting there trying to convince him like what the fuck they're saying. They're hearing it, but also potential curatorial problems. Yeah, so they probably weigh them up and then just take them out of the equation because it's like, well, all this is better, so something like that. I don't know.
There's different forms of taking care of yourself. Sometimes you want to take care of your mental health. Sometimes you want to take care of your body. Sometimes you want to take care of your feelings.
I think things like injecting estrogen are not even
never
taking care of your
tuned
mental
out,
health.
but I will for
I think it's more like appeasing.
Sounds like something Charlie would say.
It's like something you want. It's not something you need.
I mean, everything is something you want. Ultimately, you don't need to keep living. You don't need to eat to keep living. You want to keep living.
Okay, I feel like imagine that it were possible through therapy.
Where are we even at now? Like, are we just like I'm not really following this person's train of thought, to be honest.
And like years of hard work to cure gender dysphoria.
Okay.
And for people to accept themselves and their bodies that they had at birth.
Okay.
Do you think that would be preferable to transitioning?
Wait, can you still hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. I feel like Mr. Girl says a lot of opinions he has on things with no reasoning or evidence behind it. The chat's enjoying the show. Okay.
Sorry, it randomly disconnected me for no reason. Okay, so you said.
Okay, imagine it was possible. So someone develops severe gender dysphoria when they're 16. You gotta help me, doc. You gotta fix me, please. Give me the hormones. Give me the surgery. I gotta do it. Okay, imagine if it was possible to take that person and say, "Shut up. You're gonna go to therapy," and then they do, and that person eventually their dysphoria goes away, and they like their body and they accept themselves, blah blah blah, and they are within normal range of happiness levels. Would you agree that that's preferable to them transitioning?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so we agree that in terms of outcomes, being cis and liking your body is the best.
I think being cis and liking body is the I don't know.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Can I get through my ranking system and then you tell me what you think?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So in terms of preferable outcomes for like us as people who care about
yeah, I don't know. There's definitely some self-awareness here to be like, some of this shit is just kind of batshit, which I at least appreciate. Like, we might as well just concede where conceding seems like the right move, But there's this like autistic need for it to make sense so that we can cope over being born male. So I don't know. To me, if we stop pretending that sex isn't real, I think that will help. But yeah, I don't know. I'm getting tired, and they're just kind of. Maybe I'll finish. I don't know. I'll finish it, but like watch a bit more. It seems like we're trying to get as pedantic as we can to get some kind of concession out of him, or to like get him to say something that's at least slightly pro-trans, and I somehow think it's not going to happen. And this is the problem. Like, we've had zero ammo for like years and years and years, so. All we've done is like shut out these like gender critical voices and like ignore them and call them all transphobic and stuff. So we don't understand any arguments. So even if we did have any arguments, like, I don't know, but like if you don't understand the arguments in the first place, you've got even less chance of like countering them, right?